In past shutdowns, Democrats have always been the champion of keeping the government open, and that sort of lines up generally with their beliefs about government. Republicans have always been more comfortable with shutdowns in some ways because they see the federal government as being more wasteful and doing less good things. Second is that the president is behaving differently here than presidents have in past shutdowns, I would say. Trump has already signaled that he is going to approach the shutdown differently than other presidents and may even try and use the shutdown to reach some of his ideological goals. For instance, firing workers instead of furloughing them. The third thing is sort of related to that, and that is that this shutdown isn't just about policy. In 2013, the shutdown was the Republicans trying to get the Affordable Care Act repealed. In 2018, the shutdown was about President Trump trying to get his border wall built. This shutdown is nominally about health care. The Democrats would like to see the ACA subsidies expanded, but it's really more about the process and their anger at the president for sort of going back on bargains made in previous appropriations deals by making rescissions packages or unilaterally canceling funds. And that's a lot harder to negotiate over because that's about the process itself. Both parties have factions that really want to fight here. And the first thing leaders have to do is to demonstrate to those factions that they're fighting. Part of the reason I think we're in this shutdown is because Senator Schumer feels like a portion of his caucus in the Senate, and that is reflective of a portion of Democrats in the country, really just want someone to stand up to Trump and fight. And so demonstrating that fight is going to be stage one of this. And whether that lasts a day, 2 days, 3 days, or 5 days, that will come to an end, and people who just want to fight will be satisfied that you've shown some mettle here. And that sort of loosens up the negotiating room for others who actually want to strike bargaining deals. I don't think on the particular issues, for instance, on the ACA subsidies, that the two parties are actually that far apart. I think there's plenty of Republicans who do want to expand those. And so, you can see ultimately the deal would be something like the Democrats agree to vote to reopen the government, and the Republicans agree sort of just with assurances or a handshake deal that they will negotiate in good faith over those ACA subsidies over the next 6 weeks. And that's the kind of sort of low stakes deal that doesn't involve huge decisions being written in law that you can kind of see easily coming together once people have shown that they're fighting to the people who want them to fight. The public always has a large say and a large influence in politics, simply because if they decisively turn one way or another against one of the parties as to who to blame for the shutdown and who will be punished by the shutdown, many elected officials in sort of marginal districts looking for re-election will see that signal and will quickly change their tune on the shutdown. And this is typically how these things end, is that a set of politicians in the middle go to their leaders and say, we're done. And we are going to, flip on this. And you can see that happening with the Democrats, for instance, if a lot of pressure came to bear on them. Conversely, if President Trump took actions that became very unpopular during the shutdown, you could see it going the other way too, where Republicans started to look to cut a deal. But certainly, all politicians very closely watch public opinion about these things. I also mentioned sort of direct action, and then that is another aspect of this, is that workers in certain key federal roles aren't just sort of public opinion players, but can actually take steps either through things like wildcat strikes or calling in sick that can affect the quality of government services to such a degree that it forces sort of the hands of politicians. I do not think this will last as long as the longest shutdown, which was the 2018 shutdown that lasted 35 days. And that's for sort of a reason unrelated to politics. In that shutdown, by day 32, 33, you started to see sort of wildcat strikes or sick outs among certain workers in the government who were sort of crucial, air traffic controllers, TSA employees. And that quickly sort of put a lot of pressure on both sides to end the shutdown when it started to clog up some major airports in the United States. And I don't think any shutdown will ever go that long again, because I think workers in similar situations will see their power and take actions like that. That said, I don't think the shutdown will go nearly that long to begin with. One is that we already saw last night that the vote on the bill that would have reopened the government failed by 5 votes. And we saw 3 Democrats already voting with the Republicans. And I expect more will peel off in the coming week. And I think there will be sort of a relatively quick deal cut between Senator Schumer and the Republicans. I don't think that will satisfy everybody, but I do think it will reopen the government for a time period, probably 7 weeks in November. We might be right back here at the end of November doing the same thing, but I do think it will restart the bargaining relatively soon. Now, that said, these things can go lots of different directions, and if people decide they're going to dig in, or if they think they're winning the politics, it could carry on for quite some time, probably weeks.